Hello, America. What I'm about to read to you is something that I wrote a couple of weeks after our President Barack Obama was elected. I guess you know those was 4 years ago. And I was asked to read this on many occasions after that time. I read this paper that I wrote in reference to his election on the Bear Smith radio talk show out of Washington, D.C. a few weeks later. What I'm about to read to you is just a reminder, not of who you voted for 4 years ago, our now President Barack Obama, not even what you voted for 4 years ago, the changes that he promised that have taken place, but of why you voted for our President Barack Obama. That is what this is all about, just a reminder. So without further delay, I'm going to read what I wrote and read on many occasions. It's entitled, America's Heart Transplant. As much as I would like to just recite without reading, I'm going to read it again, just so as not to miss anything. So here I go. America's Heart Transplant. When the doctor tells you that you need a heart transplant, the question then to be asked is not, are you sure, doc, but how long will I live if another healthy heart is not found in time? How long will America survive without a heart that is not connected to its people? As the conversation continues, you might ask the doctor, how did this heart get in this condition? He will at that time inform you, first, this heart did not get this bad overnight or with one mistake. He would then proceed to tell you that consumption was probably the beginning of this heart's downfall. You will then ask, what, Mr. Doctor, did I consume that caused such a failure? While the doctor prepares to list the probable causes, you begin to tense up as anxiety begins to surface. Greed, he tells you, is the seed that was planted a long time ago. He continues to tell you from that seed, selfishness and personal interest is liable to take root. A branch of arrogance will then allow the possibility of imagined superiority to flourish and bloom. After further and more in-depth examination, deception and false accusation were found to have been toxic. Then, not long after that, a war was declared, splitting the states of minds of the people, causing the body to be in turmoil with itself. Time has passed. People have passed. Money continues to be passed, and business went on as usual. As the hearts of the states began to work harder and harder in an attempt to render the problem, you realize something had to be done. A $700 billion bypass surgery attempt was then and with some doubt to be performed. With fingers crossed and wood being sought after to be knocked on, it was a short while later discovered the surgery did not live up to the immediate expectations of the patient. Now, for the immediate moment, we depend on the life support system plugged into a wall of trust, trusting Wall Street to have learned its lesson, trusting a government in the midst of change, trusting a democratic system that is the best in the world, and trusting your own hearts and the votes that it cast on November the 4th, 2008, because of what this country has been consuming. A transplant was desperately needed. Even though there were a couple of hearts already set aside auditioning to be implanted inside this body of states, there were 538 select doctors still in college and millions of family members, unknowing how closely related they are to each other, that still had to decide which heart would be best to bring about a healthy change. On November the 4th, 2008, a heart was chosen. The operation will be performed on January the 20th, 2009. The success of that operation is yet to be determined. What I do know is the organs surrounding this new heart began to immediately jump for joy in anticipation of a better place to reside. I do know that speaking things that are not as though they were is where faith begins. Just as important is that faith without works, or conviction without corresponding action, will achieve nothing, and that faith will indeed die. To that I can only beseech we other organs to be patient and allow this new heart to not only grow in strength, but also fight off any foreign voices that will attempt to cause the failure of the good and positive outcomes sought out by the transplant. Even though antibodies will lie in wait and do what they are designed to do, we body parts must work in corresponding action to what and who we believe in. We feet, we hands, we lungs, we backbones, we nerves, we eyes, we ears, I think you get the picture, must all work in response to what we know is possible when faith is its foundation. My prayer is that this heart has a trickle-down effect that will positively affect each one of us, creating in all of us a need to get our own individual hearts examined. I don't have to feel, I don't have to believe, because what I do know is that this new heart loves the body it is about to be placed inside of. I know this because of the kind of love he has expressed all through his auditioning. You see, there is a love that is preceded by humility. There is also a love that refers to humility as a last resort. So I thank you, Mr. President, for allowing humility to run interference for your heart and the love that you continue to express for this body of states called United. And let me conclude by simply saying this. A healthy and new vibrant heart always seeks to serve and provide the nourishment of its lifeblood to the smallest of organs. Because when the smallest of organs is in need, the entire body is in need. There is not and shouldn't be any separation. Even in a medical field of healing, a transplanted heart will always run into opposition while inside a once very unhealthy body of states. This new heart, even though healthy and vibrant, all organs will never at first go along with and or agree with what is included when a healthy and vibrant heart is transplanted. So whether you agree with me or disagree with me won't change what is. So I beg you to stay tuned for the writings that follow approximately 2 weeks after his inauguration, titled Transplant Completed. Oh yeah, I have something else for all of you Americans out there. Have you ever heard of this book? It's titled A Love Laid Open. Can you get it? A Love Laid Open. There it is. They tell me it's a nice book by this fella called Marvin Portee Travis. That's him. Hey, 4 more years. 4 more years.